would like to start with a digression completely off your topic, but actually part of your topic, putting on some orange. Today is the day of the United Nations to fight against violence against women. So we all turn orange, and as you see, the room is also orange. So the Unsighted Foundation and our organizers observe it, and I hope that you all, in your work, in your daily lives, also follow the same big goal of having a world that is more equal, also when the gender is concerned, which is the basic fact of our humanity. And it is a huge subject actually in migration and in migration situations. I'm a diplomat, so naturally for me, when I start talking about migration, it's not the national migration and not voluntary migration that you're researching for us, and I would like to introduce you to this big picture. For us, migration naturally is an international challenge. It is migration caused by the conflicts in this world. It's migration caused by terrible wars, by the need to leave home and go somewhere else. We estimate that about 70 million refugees exist worldwide. That's 1% of the whole population of this world, which is immense. Countries of first admission, and Pakistan is one of those countries, suffer from these international streams of migration. In Pakistan, I think we have registered about 1.5 million, probably a total of 2.5 million refugees from Afghanistan, who naturally also are migrants or also come to cities in this country and to the countryside, and they need to be integrated, and it's a huge challenge for a country to do this. The European Union is a large goal for migrants worldwide, refugees and migrants. And as you all know, the reasons sometimes are mingled. When we have a refugee situation, many people also grasp the situation, grasp the opportunity and join the stream, not because they are in dire danger at home, but because they think they want to build a better future. And both reasons, all these reasons are legitimate. We accept them. We think it is necessary to help people who must leave their home because it's burning, and you house them in your house. We also think it's totally legitimate that if somebody leaves the house because it's falling down, it's not good, cannot be repaired, the means to do this are not possible, so let's house them for the beginning and try to find out how they can build their own house next to mine. The European approach to migration and to the refugees over the last years, I would say 5 years ago we had a crisis mode when suddenly everybody, so to speak, it felt like everybody came from different conflicts around Europe. We're talking about Africa in general, Libya particularly, the dire situation that you have in many countries in Africa. But then came the war, civil war in Syria, and the so-called Islamic State terrorist organization uprooted so many people in the region, like it has happened before, for instance, in Palestine and in other wars, unfortunately, very unfortunately. So the first challenge 5 years ago was to cope with the situation. Simply, how can you handle these numbers? And you will see this when you study internal migration, it's also the same thing. There are people who arrive in masses at train stations, and you have to deal with them, do something. They cannot stay at the train station because the next mass will come with the next train. Then we had to find a system also in Europe. As I said, they arrive usually at the outside, at the borders, the countries of first stay, but you have to distribute the load because not everybody can share the same load, and actually, to say it bluntly, not everybody wants to share the same load. Legally, we should all share the same load, but some people like to carry a bit more and still feel comfortable, and others carry less and already feel uncomfortable. And it is natural, it's human, it's also politics to share the load. Right now, we can say that about I would say two-thirds of all refugees in the European Union have been received by 4 countries, Germany, Italy, Austria and Sweden, that are, so to speak, the main bearers of the load. We do this because we have a leadership in Germany that has explained to everybody and has successfully imprinted it on the Germans that it is our duty, our human duty to do this. And we are gladly trying to arrange the possibilities to deal with that. However, after the crisis mode, as I said, and some policy regulations, we have entered now a stage which I will call the stage of trying to shape migration. The streams have calmed down, and now it's the question, how do you actually generate streams that you want and try to handle those that you don't want. As you know, the population in Europe is in general declining. We have so many working posts that could be filled by skilled workers, but we simply do not produce enough skilled workers. My wife and I, we have 3 children, so we've done our share, so to speak, but the demographics in Europe are totally different. The population has peaked, and the question is, where do we get the people who can fill the jobs, good jobs, that exist and can work for a future world. On the other side, naturally there are also refugees and migrants. I lump them up in one group now that will have no chance in this, or a very, very hard time. And that is actually our task on a policy level to handle it. I come originally from science, and then I worked in private industry. If you are a company, if you run a company and you have new people coming on board, this process is called onboarding nowadays, because when the people come, yes, you only would like to take those who have the best training, but then you find out, you know, they need more training, specific training on the job, everything. But they do not only need the procedures and the manuals and the technical training in the company. What they need is, they need to become part of the company. It's called onboarding in the big, economic world out there. And I would call it also onboarding if we have migrants that come to you and want to stay, and they come for economic reasons, they want to profit, they want to participate, they want to earn their money. It's not only that you tell them, this is your job, this is your house, go do it. They don't know how, and they also need to feel welcome. They need to be able to integrate. So the language, the culture studies, the way how we do things, this will for integration from the person who has arrived needs to be strengthened, needs to be also rewarded, and we have to do a lot in order to make them welcome and make them successful. So when you talk about migrants coming to our country, or you talk to migrants coming to Karachi or other city in Pakistan, remember, it's not just a commodity that flows in. It's human beings, and the human beings need to become your neighbor, basically, if they want to come and if they can stay successfully. So help them. It's the active use of this commodity, bad word, coming in. It's the active use of the people who have arrived to put them not only to work, but to make them part of our society. That is also the reason why when we had the middle of the refugee crisis in Europe, in Germany, we had full pages of ads by the Association of Industries saying, people, listen, we need them, and come on, we can train them, and we can try to find a good life for them. It requires, however, as I said, it requires that you want to be in the country where you have arrived, and it also requires that you follow the standards, that you learn how it is there, that you respect people, that basically you're able to live in a society. We have a very free, open, but also hopefully respectful society that is currently recognized all over around the world. And if we have people who come to us, who want to live in my house, we also hope that, I don't know, it's a joke, that they start cleaning the stairs as well, like I do, and that they respectfully, for instance, work with women, or that they respectfully try to understand what we do, and we try to understand what they do. Same challenge you have here in Pakistan. Also, different people, different tribes, ethnicities they come to Karachi, they have their different staples, their food, it smells different, it's like, do you like that? So you visit each other, you find out how it is, you become closer. We have done this in Germany for hundreds of years. Just this morning when I thought about it, a neighbor of mine has a typical Polish name. They came 200 years ago to work in the coal mines of Germany. So from Poland, where they also had coal, they came to western part of Germany to work there. In the beginning they spoke Polish. Nowadays, where you find somebody in Germany with a Polish name, Bavaria somewhere, it's like, it's a normal name, it's like everybody has that. My closest co-worker, when I was in Berlin 4 years ago, very, very bright political science major. She always, because I'm a diplomat, but I come from natural sciences, but the fine things about politics she always taught me. She is actually Croatian. She came with her parents as a child when we had the war about the breaking up of Yugoslavia. She studied in Munich. She became a political science major. She was the right hand of our foreign minister, now federal president, Dr. Steinmeier. Other friend of mine is Palestinian. She came from the conflict there, went to Germany, also studied. She's now state secretary in the state of Berlin. You know, the onboarding can be really, really successful. If I look for a carpenter in Germany, I typically find a Turkish carpenter. They are, I would say sometimes now, more reliable, more successful than the Germans. The point is, they arrived as refugees, they arrived maybe as migrant workers, maybe as seasonal workers, as students. If the onboarding is successful, it has meant that after a while we give them relatively quickly residency. We have a blue card scheme and many things like that for Germany or for Europe in general. But then eventually also the citizenship, and then, you know, they are us. On the other side, I could talk a long time about this because Pakistan is a very strong example for this. We have many, many measures as the German government and other fellow European countries do the same thing to help Pakistan to integrate and reintegrate people whom we want to keep from migrating, or where we say it's like it's better to go home. There are people who will not make it in a European society environment. They will not be successful, they will not fit into the production process, or they don't want to be there. They don't want to change the way how they live. These things exist, they are normal, completely normal. And I come back to my metaphor, when your house burns down and you move into your neighbor's house, it doesn't mean you stay there forever. Usually you should rebuild your own house, you go back, and your neighbor helps you. So we're helping the Pakistani government, but also through many, many different actors from Germany to, for instance, install the system of technical, of dual education, as we call it, so the professional education together with schooling in Pakistan. A couple hundred centers are open now. We support about 9 million Pakistani school children in their schools. So the schools they go to receive funding from Germany in one way or another. We pay for scholarships to study in universities in Pakistan. So people who have come as refugees to Germany, they can come back and they will receive support from us to do it in their own country. Ultimately, as I said, there is migration which will strengthen your place, the place where you are, and that's why you want these people, and that's why you help them, and you want to keep them. But there's also migration that needs to be supported in the other direction. The way to strengthen the situation in a country, the country of origin. That's why we are stabilizing Afghanistan. That's why we're working in Peshawar and other parts of the world. The work to abolish the reason for migration is probably the best work. If you develop cities, smaller cities in Pakistan, if you work with Balochistan and give the people there a better way of advancing in their lives, then they will not flock to the suburbs of Karachi. Because I think everybody is a little bit like me. I'm originally from Bavaria. I like to be in Bavaria. I like to be back home and work there and live with the people who are close to me or my family, the bigger extended family. So everybody has a certain tendency to stay at home, but then there are many reasons to leave. Good reasons to leave, bad reasons to leave. What you do is you do a lot of good research to understand the subject. You could help policymakers to handle the situation. You can help the economy to create the right jobs, the right response to migration. But you could also help us all to try to avoid the reasons of migration, to help people find the best living they have in the home where they're born, if they want to stay there. Thank you very much.